What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode here on the Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. I am Hawk, and today we are doing the snapshot of the Atlanta Falcons, a team that I absolutely love. I was very, very high on for anybody that's been listening for this entire season. I was really high on the Falcons coming into this year, and it just didn't end up happening. So we're going to take a look at what this team can be, what this team is, what this team was, and find out what they need to do so that 2025 is not a repeat. In my mind, really, the Buccaneers will take a step back offensively, not necessarily because of... They're going to take a step back because you're going to have another offensive coordinator, and you keep getting, like Dave Canales was a really good offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen proved to be a very solid offensive coordinator. You don't get that lucky back to back to back to back. Let's just be honest. So, I think they'll take a step back, and the Falcons have to grab the NFC South title. They finished second this year. It was a very disappointing year. There is no doubt about that. And when you look at the season, it doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up for how the season played out for the Falcons unless you watch the games and understand what happened. So let's go back. Let's see what happened to get to where they are right now. So this past season, they were number 6 in total offense in the league at 370 yards a game. 370 yards a game. Now, if you've watched this season, you know that those 2 games against the Buccaneers was the majority of why this offense was so high this season, with all those yards that took place in those 2 games. But you got to realize, all in all, the offense is not the problem. The turnovers were the problem, and we're going to jump down. Normally I do it in a certain way. We're going to jump down. They were -6 in turnover differential. They had 12 interceptions, and they had 6 fumble recoveries, but they gave away interceptions 19 times and fumbled the ball away 5 times. So it was a -6 turnover differential for the Falcons this year. With a number 6 offense at 370 yards a game, number 5 passing offense at 239 yards a game, the 10th best rushing offense at 130 yards a game. Why are you not in the playoffs? So every Atlanta Falcon fan that is upset that they missed the playoffs has 100% right to be. They should be there. There is absolutely no reason they aren't. They averaged 23 points per game on offense. Now, as you watch the year, the defense went like this. They got better as the season went on, which is Raheem Morris's, in a sense, forte. Now, I think Lake was in over his head. I like the Albrecht hire. To bring in a different defensive coordinator. I do like Albrecht as a defensive coordinator for the Falcons. I think his experience will help get that defense into a better situation, depending on what they can do with free agency. So here's where we're going to be at. Defensively, they were 23rd in the league at 345 yards a game. So you're talking about a difference of 25 yards a game that they had more on offense. Normally that equates to winning. They averaged 224 yards against the pass. That was 22nd in the league. And they were 15th with 120 rushing yards allowed per game. And it got better as the season went on. They finished, if I remember correctly, the second half of the season, they were in the top 15 in everything. They got better as the season went on. So improvement. Now you got to put all the pieces together. We already went over turnover differential. They averaged allowing 25 points per game. And that is a lot because of the turnovers. And where did the turnovers come from? Interceptions. Kirk Cousins was an absolute bust. It happens. It happens. They didn't pay him Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa money. They didn't pay him Dak Prescott money. They paid him to be a mentor for this year. That's what they paid him to be. It's really that simple. I don't think it was a bad signing. I liked the signing when they did it. ACLs with old quarterbacks have affected them. Aaron Rodgers didn't start playing good until he got Devontae Adams later in the season, and it was still much later. It was like week 12 where he actually started looking like a quarterback that could throw the ball. But then he still gave up at the end of the year anyway. ACLs with old quarterbacks, I'm going to say, just stay away. The mobility is completely gone, which is something Cousins was able to do because he was able to roll out. And now, there's not even rolling out with Kirk Cousins. It's not a good scenario. It's not good for Atlanta. It didn't work. All right, get up, brush off, move on. But the problem, as you can see on the screen, negative $12 million in cap space. And let's look at some of the free agents. Now, to their credit, they signed free agents purposely to push this year over the edge to win the division. So the top two, Matthew Judon, $13 million a year, gone. Justin Simmons, $7.5 million, gone. Lorenzo Carter, gone. Mike Hughes, Richie Grant, Rondale Moore, Antonio Hamilton, Eddie Goldman, Kevin King. You got some role players, but you got some of the big ones. The top four, the big ones right there. Matt Judon, Justin Simmons, Lorenzo Carter, and Mike Hughes. Those are your big ones. What are you going to do with it? Looking at the salary cap table, so as of right now, looking at everything, where the Falcons go, there they are. They have only $284,000 in dead cap money as of right now. That's going to change because they're going to cut Kirk Cousins. Now, they're going to be on the plus side of the cap, even with the dead cap money, because they save $10 to $15 million by cutting him when they're going to cut him. So there is hope, but I don't know where you're going to get the rest of the money you need with 28 total free agents, 20 unrestricted, and only 6 picks in the draft. This one looks hard to me. This one does look hard to me. Part of me really thinks that they're going to need to you've got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix. To me, Kyle Pitts is a lot like Marcus Pollard at this point, when Manning came into the league. Marcus Pollard is going to be the bigger, should be the more broad body, red zone tight end, okay? He was the safety net. If Kyle Pitts can get his hands back, get his excitement back about football, because Michael Penix is going to be throwing him the ball, he looked good the last couple weeks with Michael Penix. He understands there's life. I think he just got tired of having a quarterback that was worthless throwing him the football the past 2 years between Desmond Ridder and Kirk Cousins. He just got tired. and he gave up. Michael Penix is going to rejuvenate this entire organization, and how you handle this offseason will really, really play a factor in what you do in the future. I don't like the idea of the Saints hiring Kellen Moore. I could be completely wrong. I don't think he's going to be a good head coach. He looks a lot like Shane Steichen to me, another offensive coordinator from Philadelphia. I don't think there's going to be a lot of grit with that team. I don't think he can fix it. He's not an experienced guy to come in with experienced veterans and go, this is what we're going to do to fix what's been happening the last couple years. I don't see him being able to do that. So you've got the Buccaneers, who have a defensive coach, a quarterback that is very streaky, very up and down. And you've got a Carolina Panther team that is also up and down. So you've got to take advantage if you're the Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be a big offseason. Cut cap room. Wherever it has to be. Cut cap room. They need more than 6 picks in this draft. Absolutely need more than 6 picks in this draft. The way I'm looking at this with the number 15 pick, I was thinking about this with the out-of-the-box idea. I was trying to figure out, what do we do? Because Kirk Cousins can't really be part of it. Let's just be honest. Defensively, A.J. Terrell. You got Ellis. You got some young guys that can play. So my thought is really simple on the out-of-the-box idea. 6 picks in the draft. You need picks. There's a team that's going to want the number 15 pick. And they would currently be in the late 20s. Have any idea who that is? That team is the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens will want the number 15 pick. Why, do you ask? Because they're going to want another receiver, and they're going to want secondary help. So I think you can get the Ravens to trade their pick to you for the 15th pick, and if you play it right, you could get a 5th and a 6th with it, maybe a 4th and a 6th, depending on how the points work out. You need draft picks in this draft. This is a very defense-heavy draft. I've said this multiple times. Defense is where you struggled. Albrecht coming in, he's not going to be over his skis. He knows what he's doing. Whether you like the hire or not, you can argue about that all you want. He's better than Lake. He's going to know what he's doing. He's going to have a plan coming in. A.J. Terrell is an absolutely outstanding corner. Jesse Bates, absolutely outstanding safety. If you can go after later rounds, West from IU, Kamara from IU, if you can go after some of the lower end ACC talent that's smart in the 4th and 6th round, I think it helps Atlanta where they really need help. I don't know how everything's going to play out cap-wise. But I think you need to get more picks in the draft. Trade with Baltimore. Give them the number 15. Get their first-round pick. If you go for whatever you can. I don't think Baltimore's going to give up more than a 1st, a 4th, and a 6th. But I think because of how this team is, your cap space dictates what you need. You need the 2 extra draft picks. You need guys that are cheap to be able to play. And then trust your scouting department, but make the picks. I know people were really ticked off with the draft last year for Atlanta. Really upset with how they did this. And honestly, I can't blame them. They kind of were proven right through the year. Hopefully, year 2, they make leaps. I hope. But we got to see what they do. It doesn't look great. The NFC South is really a mess. And we're going to go over the Saints and, the Panthers eventually. The Saints aren't going to be till after they get a, coach. But when you look at everything, the division's really weak. The Buccaneers aren't the Texans. The Souths are somewhat similar, but the Texans are young, energetic, and alive. And they keep winning, and winning in the playoffs. They're 2-2. Let's just be honest here. They've won both home games in the playoffs, and they've lost both road games in the playoffs. Okay. If you're the Atlanta Falcons, you won a home game, you win your home game, you lose in the next one, so what? You got to get to the playoffs. The Texans are, the Buccaneers have been, the Falcons need to be. I think the Buccaneers go back to 9 wins. Potentially, once again, the winner of this division could only need 10 wins. The Falcons need to have that next year. They need to win 10 games. I don't know how the cat plays out. The Falcons were one of the most frustrating teams for bettors all year. They were one of the most frustrating teams for fantasy players all year. It was bad. You just didn't know what you were getting week to week. So you got to get consistency. I know some Atlanta Falcon fans wanted to fire Raheem Morris. I mean, the Bears have more cap room. If I'm a head coach, I would have rather gone to Chicago over Atlanta just because of the cap room. I'm not strapped. Now, if you want to get a guy like Mike McCarthy to coach your football team, he could deal with being strapped. But right now, there's nobody else that you should bring in. Let Raheem Morris work this. The cap space is going to be what it is. The Kirk Cousins scenario, you get a freebie. Everybody gets a freebie. You don't get every decision right. What if Kirk Cousins played the way he did through the first 9 weeks? 8 weeks. Let's go 8 because not 9. 8 weeks. What if he played that way for the next 6 weeks and then didn't start doing bad until the last 3 weeks? You're in the playoffs. Like you were 6-3. You were 6-3. And then your quarterback couldn't stop turning the ball over. Like, the team just got absolutely destroyed with morale. Morale-wise, they were destroyed. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. So there's a snapshot for the Atlanta Falcons. I love these. Simple, easy, team by team. I have a lot of fun doing this. Huge shout out to Draven once again for the theme song intro that is there now. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your, today's going to be Tuesday for you guys. So have a great rest of your Tuesday. Hopefully the week has started out strong for you and it continues. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to subscribe and like the podcast so it helps the channel grow. I deeply appreciate it. Thanks so much for hanging out. For Sports Talk with Hawk on an absolutely beautiful, well, for me, it's a Sunday evening. But for me, it's a gorgeous Sunday evening. The weather's beautiful. And I'm going to go, I don't know what I'm going to go do. Not really sure. But I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my evening on a Sunday evening. You enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow for the next snapshot here on the Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.